Hi guys. Let's see. I forgot my drink. I'll be right back. Boom! 2 drinks. So, root beer and coffee. The breakfast of champions. I don't know if you can hear me. Let me talk a little more clearly and loudly. And oh, that just happened. Oh, sorry. And flip. It's Friday. How you doing? I am happy that it's Friday. I had a breakthrough today in my thinking about how rest works. I think I've had this breakthrough before, but I kind of forgot it, or this is like a rephrasing of it. So I've been working really hard this week, and also just kind of had a lot of things like hanging over my head. Maybe you have too. But so the thing is, I realized that means that I instinctively try to like sneak away and play Angry Birds, or like read a book, or watch a bunch of Netflix or whatever. And that's not necessarily actually that restful for me. I mean, sometimes it is, like it's fun and it's kind of relaxing, but really what makes me feel like rested and energized and excited to get back in the mix is when things that have been hanging over my head aren't anymore. So I realized if I'm having free time or taking free time, maybe like my new sort of paradigm for how to use it is not just like, what do I want to blob into right now, but what do I really wish were done right now, and then just work on that. I mean, again, like that sounds a little backwards, because if you're working and you like like I said, busy week, but if you're working and you're so busy that I totally forgot what I was saying. Hi, Katie. Oh yeah, okay, so yeah, if you're working and you decide to work as your rest also, that doesn't sound very restful. But so what I was saying is my new paradigm about resting is think in terms of what do I want, or what do I wish were done right now. So like, basically, I've got work, I've got writing work, I've got all the kind of like official things I'm supposed to be doing. But then if I'm taking a little break from that, rather than just spending all my time doing some dumb thing that involves staring at 2 screens at once or something, what if I just pick like one thing that's been nagging at me, it's kind of annoying, I just have to plow through it at some point, and use that little break of free time to plow through it, or part of it, and then it'll be done. And I've been experimenting with that, and it's really cool. Like, I've gotten a few things out of the way, and each one, I mean, I still have like probably 20 in a row, but each one that I get done helps me actually feel better and more rested and more like excited about life again. So some of the things, incidentally, that are stacked up in the background like that are, I'm working on finishing the draft of The Unaccountable Death of Derelict Frobisher, which is my next novel, which I'm super excited about. Like, I realized that I'm getting to the end, and I've been procrastinating a lot because it's really tricky, but it's going to be so good. It's just like this cascade of amazing ending moments, like over and over, and it's got so many layers and so much cool stuff. It's about a guy who thinks he's dead, and he actually might be, but he might not be, because he's going around telling people he thinks he's been murdered. But then somebody hears that, like a student hears that, and basically comes out as dead and realizes that he's dead too, and then realizes that the dead have been oppressed for too long, like they can't vote and they can't own property and all this stuff. And so he starts a dead rights movement, and then that spins out of control, and like shadowy forces try and co-opt it for their own ends. And meanwhile, the main character is investigating what actually happened to his original friend Frobisher, who thinks he's dead. And it all takes place in this like sort of Discworld-esque, really humorous fantasy kind of setting where everything is silly and a little off kilter. And it's just, I'm really looking forward to like getting this one out into the world, because I think it's going to be tons of fun. Anyway, but so I'm working on that. And then I'm working on getting ready for the Baltimore Book Festival, which is September 23rd. Check. Oh, I can't check because I'm talking to my phone right now. September 23rd, pretty sure. It's a Friday. So you should come out and see us and all the other authors and writers and small presses and big presses. So that's going to be really fun. We're going to have a booth at the Baltimore Book Festival, but that means I have to get ready to like buy a ton of books to sell there and make posters and maybe make up a game of some sort, or like fun activities, or just like cool bookmarks to give away. And the thing is, like, that's no good. This is why it's good to have a backup drink. Ah! Okay, so that was more exciting than I intended. Wow. This is also when it's good to have stone floors. They can take punishment. So I'll give you a little tour of the location. This is where I keep the rags. So what happened there is I kicked my chair, and that knocked off my phone and my root beer. My root beer hit the ground, and then I drank the rest of the root beer, and now I'm wiping it up like a boss. Yeah. This might be a good juncture at which to show you my makeshift tripod, actually, given that it's the thing that I kicked. Man, this must be... Okay, let's see. Here. This is so exciting. Look at that. I got that little shelfie thing off of a whiteboard and strapped it on with rubber bands. That's good old-fashioned American ingenuity at work, by the way. Alright, good enough for now. Anyway, so I'm saying, you go to like any kind of convention or conference or whatever, you know, one of those places with like little booths and signs and selling merch and whatever, and there's tons of objects on the table, and the thing is, you did miss some drama. You can, yeah, it was exciting. Let's see, but the thing is, somebody, or probably a team of somebody's made every one of those things. So like if there's magnets, they made the magnets, and if there's bookmarks, they not only printed, but also like somebody designed them, and somebody like took the pictures for the design. And if there's a price list, somebody like thought through what all the prices are, and if there's a deal, somebody thought through the deal and how much they can afford to give away, and like how to make that work in practice. And like there's all these things, and the thing is, I'm doing most of that by myself this time around. So I'm starting to think through ways to like get more help, because just other people are better at some things than I am. I'm sort of a control freak, so it's hard to let go of some of that, but well, it's hard for me to let go of some things, but there are plenty of things that I would be happy to let go of. So actually, I mean, if anybody wants to like be my marketing director, let me know. We'll talk. Have your people call my people. But in the meantime, it's been fun. Kristen and I like mocked up price lists, and I've been thinking through all the different kinds of merch and giveaways and cool deals and stuff that I can do. But more than that, it's just going to be super fun to be at the book festival and talk books with people who actually care about books, and to like meet new authors, and to, I don't know, meet new readers and all that. So September 23rd, I believe, Friday. Go check out the Clickworks booth if you're in the Baltimore area. If you're not, come over to the Baltimore area so you can hang out with us. Also in October, we're going to have a panel of Clickworks authors at the Waverly Branch Library, which is going to be really fun. Yeah, I know. I'm really excited. So all of that is actually super exciting. It's just also, like, it turns out there's 7 different things to do, each of which turns out to have like 8 different steps for each of those, you know, for like the festival, and also for the library, and also for other things. And then also I'm, you know, working a day job and writing a book and raising 2 kids. So anyway, all that to say, I've been trying this new approach where, I've been considering trying this new approach where instead of sitting around and wasting time when I have a little time to waste, I sit around and fix one cool, or like take care of one thing, like design a bookmark or something when I have time to waste, and it's really nice. It like kind of takes a load off psychologically. And that's actually way more restful than like playing Angry Birds for 20 minutes. Yeah, so I'll let you know how that goes. Another cool thing is that I'll probably like readdress this later in one that does not have 20 minutes of rambling at the beginning. But I've been working on getting more used to dictating my books, because it turns out you can go super fast. So first of all, since I'm a geek, I like know some stats. My slowest composition, like my composition speed when I'm writing new material of actual fiction, not like planning and stuff, is 10 words per minute if I'm going like really slowly. You know, that's like if I'm half browsing Facebook while I write, I can write 10 words per minute. if I'm writing pretty fast, like my normal high end is 25 words per minute. That's been getting a little faster. I've tried different methods and spiking it up to, like I can hit gusts of 30 or 35 words per minute, sometimes maybe even a little higher. But the other night, or last night specifically, I was experimenting again with dictating. And the thing is, you can just dictate like with an iPhone, like the iPhone keyboard has a dictate option, and you can do it straight into Google Docs app on your phone, or or whatever, just like anywhere with a text field. And it's not perfect, but it's 80 or 90% solid so far. I wouldn't be surprised if it even gets better as I try. I mean, as I practice and it learns what words I use and what my voice is like. So the thing is, I was really bad at it. It's really weird to like say all the stuff out loud instead of just writing it like I'm used to. So I was kind of hesitant and didn't have a very good flow. And also I wasn't quite sure what to write, which is my other big issue sometimes. And even with all of that, I was hitting 30 words a minute. So you imagine, like, I mean, if I could just get into the flow, like the way I'm talking right now, this would probably be 120 words a minute or something. The weird thing is you have to like dictate all the punctuation too, so you're like, open quote, stop, exclamation mark, close quote, he called, period, new line, open quote, I shall never stop, comma, close quote, he retorted fastidiously, period, open quote, knave, exclamation mark, close quote, or whatever it is. So that gets a little getting used to, but I'm actually already semi-used to that half of it. Like I can more or less ignore the punctuation coming out of my mouth. Like it can flow pretty naturally. I will leave out a period or something sometimes when I really get going. But it's more actually the weird thing for me is the hard part is like coming up with stuff to say fast enough, which if you're listening to me right now is probably hard to like believe because I can talk really fast and endlessly, but it's a very different modality. It's like I'm used to composing stories with my fingers on a keyboard or writing, but yeah, doing it with my head, with my mouth, part of my head is trickier. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, see that's the thing. I think once I get in the right mindset, it'll be fantastic. Like I want to get in the habit of like going on walks and dictating chapters and stuff. Because, you think about it, and like if you just take everything I've said so far, that's probably several pages. And this was very easy, and it was, it's been, 5-10 minutes or something. So if I could get into where I'm doing that, but with the story, that'll be really cool. Like, I could theoretically just write, book every month or two or whatever it would come out to. I haven't done the math yet. So that would be really sweet. Anyway, so that's one of the things I'm thinking about these days. But yeah, it's really interesting how much, actually, regardless of whether I'm typing or dictating, how much faster I am when I have some idea of what the next little bit should be about or should be. Like, one thing that's slowing me down right now is that I've gotten down to have mainly a few key scenes left. Say like a couple chapters worth of content probably. But I haven't figured out a couple key things. So like some of my plans for the climax kind of amount to like do something really clever here and they save the day. And that's always hard to write too, as opposed to like, he does this thing and he breaks this and he surprises her that way. And the result is that this thing explodes and the day is saved. Like that's a lot easier to write too. But I'm also kind of rethinking my balance between planning ahead and writing on the fly. Again, probably get into that more some other time, but I've always, my theory to date has just been that like, you're gonna write any story several times. So you can either write it all the way out in full detail and then go back and rewrite it and go back and rewrite it, or you can like write it out basically in outline form or plan it out, kind of just in notes to yourself, and then do that again, and maybe fill it out a little and do that again and fill it out a little and then write the story. So so essentially like it's a lot like you're gonna do a few passes in either case, but just writing notes or an outline gives you a quicker sense of the whole like sweep of the book. So you can see what's going to go wrong in advance and fix it without having invested in like 30,000 words that you have to throw out. So, but I'm kind of wondering actually if the serendipities of writing on the fly balance that out somewhat, because it's almost like there are some things that have to just happen when they happen rather than happening when they have to happen in the moment. It's kind of like describing a joke versus telling a joke. You know, it's like I've long been a strong proponent of like the formula of the planning. I think if the formula doesn't make a good story, your formula is wrong. It doesn't mean that formulas are inherently a bad way to approach storytelling. It just means you're not doing it well. I mean, yeah, it's just because like you can boil almost anything down to a principle or a formula or a pattern if you are careful and mindful. It's just you might do a bad job of that. So like if you just say, I don't know, you can oversimplify your model. Like you can say people are just happy or angry. You know, now I understand emotion. And then when someone is like dubious or disgusted or something, you're like, well, no, that's not really a thing. That doesn't mean that dubiousness is not really a thing, or that trying to understand emotion is a bad thing. It just means you haven't understood it very well yet. Yeah, the pacing has to make sense. I really think we might be on a delay. But yes, you're right. Yeah, so that's the thing, is like if you're just, like obviously you can write a formulaic story that's stupid and formulaic, because the formula is just like boy meets girl, girl ignores boy, boy slowly wins girl over, they have a breach of trust, everything is horrible forever, boy makes a romantic gesture and wins girl back. Yay. You know, it's like, okay, fine, but we all have, you know, seen that a billion times and it's kind of dumb now. But like, that doesn't mean that you can't figure out the pattern behind a compelling story. It just means that is not necessarily it anymore. So anyway, I have long been a proponent of the formula properly understood and properly complexified. But I'm beginning to wonder if there are things that, while you could probably technically still derive them formulaically or figure them out in advance, are much more likely to happen, or more likely to happen well. You're gonna laugh when you see me laugh. But anyway, there are probably things that, while you could technically derive them formulaically, will be a lot easier to get to, and will probably turn out a little better if they just happen sort of serendipitously as you are writing in the story. So it's a really interesting question. This is one that I could dive deep on forever, and I kind of just went longer than I meant to, but I'd like to talk about it properly at some point, because I think I really want to convince the people who think that formulas kill art that is not the case, but also I am rethinking certain aspects of my own stance on that, which has been a long-held stance. I'm actually kind of proud of myself for still being able to think new thoughts about it, honestly. So anyway, more on that later. Let's get to the story. The Dream World Collective. This one, incidentally, was entirely, well, I was going to say it was entirely serendipitous, not quite, but I was writing it as blog posts on the fly, and I think I had some of the like major arcs roughly in mind, but a lot of it just ended up being like, oh crap, I have to write something tonight, and then I wrote something that night. So, let's see. This is continuing chapter 8, I believe. For some time after Zen left, Otto sat on his sack of spelt, staring into the core of the gargantuan bale of waxed paper. The wax paper was not computers. It didn't make sense. There were supposed to be computers in front of him, lots of computers, powerful computers. It didn't make sense. Without really deciding to, he heaved himself to his feet and began shuffling through the dim maze of the basement. This won't do, he muttered. Won't do at all. Too right it won't. murmured a guttural little Cockney voice he knew wasn't real. We ought to find us a mainframe, we ought. Components and the like. Isn't that right, mates? He didn't exactly hear the motley chorus of agreement, but it was there. Except it wasn't, technically. But he knew they weren't real. That was the key. That just meant he wasn't crazy. It was just some characters he kept around in his imagination. Imaginary friends, if you like. Sometimes it helped to have some companionship when it was just you and the wide screens. What next, boys? Well, I don't like to say, he told himself in the lumbering voice of Grumbles, the friendly troll. Perhaps if we was just to go and grab something out of a dumpster, like. He didn't know if people with that kind of accent actually used the word dumpster, but of course that was irrelevant. People with that accent were actually not trolls either, or imaginary. He wobbled up the stairs, not paying particularly close attention to reality. Maybe Sushi will tell us, squawked Tanglebait, the Cockney gremlin, then added knowingly, Ain't she a fruity one, eh? Shut up, mumbled Otto. He wasn't sure what that meant, but Tanglebait had a cheeky streak that needed watching. Otto scuffed his way into the sunroom and dropped onto one of the petite chairs. You shut up, muttered Sushi reflexively. Look, boys, we're getting nowhere fast, he told them in his head. They could hear him either way, obviously. We've got a situation here. I need solutions. Well, hummed the nasal voice of Tickleback, the wizened gremlin scholar and artificer, we could perhaps attempt a trans-dimensional nexus shift. Naturally, it would be a rather complex matter to calibrate the internal locus, but with Mordenkainen's radical cantrip we may be able to derive, as it were. He drifted off, as usual, into a mumbling technical digression. What if we just check back at your old house? Suggested Grumbles. No, there's nothing left there, muttered Otto in growing irritation. We need a real solution. But maybe we could... Otto exploded. Just think, Grumbles! What did you call me? Snapped Sushi. Not you, said Otto with a surly grimace. Well, I'm the only one here, Blabby McBlabberoff. Can't you just go downstairs and talk to your fungus men or whatever? I am talking with them, huffed Otto, and they are not fungus men. They are a consortium of highly skilled gremlin and gremlinoid adventurers, and frankly, their ideas today are not what I've come to expect. Yeah, you heard me, Tanglebait, he snapped peevishly. Whatever, Cornpone, just leave me out of it, okay? No, come on, Sush, I need ideas here. Where am I going to get back my beautiful computage? I'm literally going crazy here. Sushi rolled her eyes, though her brush never stopped. Going crazy? And Elton John's starting to seem a little fruity, don't you think? Sushi, Pope considering the whole Jesus thing? Come on, man, I need... Otto, seriously, I am 3 brushstrokes from finishing this painting. If you are still there when that happens, you will be pummeled. Ferociously. But, he remembered, the dimensional thingy. She executed 3 final, precise brushstrokes and stepped back, glowing slightly, to examine the overall effect. It was at that moment that a cockroach fell out of nowhere onto the canvas. Dun dun dun. Alright, thank you guys for joining me. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Oh man, it's my birthday this Sunday, so that's fun. Leave me reviews of my books as an easy present. Anyway, talk to you later. Have a lovely one.